Get the rock-solid support you need with an integrated jumbo-size wrist rest. An innovative smudge-proof surface gives you a sleek, glossy look with no fingerprints left behind. Over 500 programmable macros and 3 thumbster keys. Fueled by up to 2 32-bit ARM Cortex processors and a powerful 2 megabytes of flash memory. The Rocket Rios Mechanical Gaming Keyboard Series.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and oh boy, I whiffed our overlays. Oh, I'm so sorry. Welcome back to Starladder Season 10 SEA Day 2 coverage. This is our third game of the day, InsideousIdol versus Team Mineski. I'm Zayori, joined once again by Blaze. What's up, buddy? How you feeling coming into Game 3 of the day here?
Pretty good. I mean, we just went through Game 2. That turned into kind of Episode 2 of the Clone Wars, but now we get into Game 3, and we get to have a little bit of a different tempo style. Maybe no Meepo, maybe no Naga, but certainly something we're familiar with. The Doom, the Viper, these are hero pickups that are very common in general in the SEA scene, and surprisingly in the first phase. Like, most metas and most regions won't say, okay, Viper is top tier, it's first pick, but there are a lot of teams here that really highly value the Viper, and I don't have the best explanation for it, but he definitely wins games, so we'll see what he can do in the laning phase and how he can transition into a more impactful role, maybe going for the mechanism. But both sides are very active teams, interesting teams, and ones that have gone through a lot of roster changes recently.
Yes, they certainly have, and maybe it's worth just... do I have these backwards? Mineski is ready. Man, I'm just failing all over the place today. There we go. Idol will be on the dire side, and we've got Mineski on the Radiant. So Mineski's roster right now is Jacko, stand-in Joven, Jesse Vosh, May, and they have another stand-in here, Play Heart. So 2 stand-ins on the side of Mineski, and InsideousIdol have their full roster here. Z-Red, Neltharion, Ysera, Shagasaurus, and Chew.
So this is another one of those situations where I'm very familiar with 2 or 3 of the players on the teams, but the other ones are kind of flip-flopping around. Joven was actually one of the core members of the Mineski a year ago, and he was playing a lot with Jesse Vash. Jacko frequently stood in for them from the bench, but didn't actually have a core role in the team. So those 3 I'm very familiar with on the side of Mineski. And InsideousIdol, I've even pubbed with Chew a few times. He's a pretty cool guy. And Ysera is one of the better solo mids. Like, I would compare some to Polasan as far as skill set and as far as impact on the game in general. So keep an eye out for him as well. But it's going to be Zebra drafting it up. And starting things off with the Doom Skywrath Mage, I imagine Faceless Void is a hero to note for the next banning phase or pick phase.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime there's a Skywrath, you probably want to be banning out that Faceless Void. The Centaur first ban is a little interesting here, and it did open up for that Doom to be left on the board. He's the big obvious first pick material hero that is very rarely ignored, but I like the way Mineski is going here. Nice and tanky. Viper and Tidehunter is a pretty scary opener and hard to draft against. A lot of versatility. I reckon a Rubik ban may be coming out here, but we'll see.
Yeah, a lot of versatility in the hero pickups here, but for now, I mean, the big thing is going to be who Doom targets. Obviously, there's 3 hero picks to come through, but for now, Tidehunter is a good target because Kraken Shell won't take effect, and Viper because of the fact that he loses his big passive, the sense of durability that he provides, and his ability to elongate the fight with slowing effects, kiting effects. That's not going to take place. Instead, it's just going to be a lot of hurt coming his way, and they can single him out pretty quickly. I think, though, it's going to be coming down to who picks up the mechanism is who makes the better Doom target, because both are good heroes to take out, but if they take the mechanism with them, then that's a pretty huge thing to eliminate from the 5-on-5. In the meantime, they're going to farm up quickly with the Doom. I think that they're going to run it off lane, but I'm not too sure with this composition of InsideousIdol.
Yeah, now an interesting choice to third ban the Wraith King. I'm a little surprised at that. I mean, maybe it's just a hero they don't like playing against, but Void and Rubik are to me seem to be the 2 obvious bans. Obviously the synergy with Skywrath, and then spell steal on Ravage, but maybe Mineski are angling for a Rubik pick of their own to try and deal with that Doombringer a bit more effectively.
Yeah, there's potential there for sure. I think that the Wraith King is still a very powerful hero in his own right. He brings a lot to the table with his stun, with his reincarnate, and he is a pretty big force to be reckoned with in a supportive sense and in a carry sense. But yeah, I don't think it's the most pressing thing. I mean, I don't think it's like something that you have to take out. And on the same note, the Death Prophet, it's just something that's frustrating to deal with, has a lot of great things that she gives to a team, but not necessarily counteracting what you have already picked up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very true. Though, to be honest, I think Viper and Tide are two heroes that deal with DP better than most. Just Viper for the raw right clicks, and with DP, it's often a battle of if you're going to commit to her, can you bring her down before her ghosts bring you down? And Viper with that extra damage from Corrosive Skin as well as the Nether Toxin, I think he's just kind of well-suited to try and shut her down, and the Tidehunter with the Ravage, any kind of lockdown, and minus armor for the right clicks to commence worked pretty darn well also. But to each his own, as you mentioned, an irritating hero nonetheless, and Mineski will opt to take her out. They will settle on a third pick, Shadow Shaman, for their first support.
Yeah, they're showing that they want to go for the tower momentum. They want to be able to take the offensive, get the gold momentum behind them so that they don't have to worry about going against Doom in the late game. Because Doom in the SCA scene very frequently goes for like an Agadam's refresher buildup or a Shiva's refresher buildup rather than anything oriented around right clicks, and just is entirely about designated 2 targets to eliminate from the fight. So the more they can push that back by taking down towers is going to be good, and the more they can delay that by banning out heroes that can push insanely well is going to be to their favor. So you also have to think about cooldown timings. Doom and Exorcism sync up pretty well, and they just don't want to have to be overwhelmed at any point in the game.
Yeah. So Vengeful Spirit, the third choice for InsideousIdol here. Possibly, I mean, this is getting pretty meta-y here. If they want to do a 4th pick Void, it is a deny pick for Mineski, as Void Venge works very well to just deal with the Faceless Void in general. Swap out whoever gets caught, and if you die, the minus aura does help. Or possibly just a hero that they like using. We'll see how it works out. But if they did want to 4th pick that Void, pretty cheeky bit of drafting here.
Yeah, that would be really insightful if they did kind of see that coming. But obviously these two teams know each other's captains and their drafting styles a lot more clearly than we do. Actually, haven't seen Jesse Vash draft for Mineski, though. I've seen him play dozens of different games. He has a very different take on how he plays in as far as how he builds heroes. So I'm assuming that he has a pretty interesting strategy when it comes down to the draft. But the Venge does gank really well with Skywrath. Usually when you think of Vengeful Spirit, you think about the physical damage she brings with Wave of Terror, with her aura. That brings a lot, but I actually think she's going to go for a max magic missile build here, where just Skywrath and her can just absolutely destroy somebody before they get off the ground. It's really good kill potential, and with relatively short cooldowns and high output, they can just kind of go in, roam about, and find a lot of easy pickoffs.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. And here, Mineski, wow, they grab Weaver. And I say wow because there are a lot of tools to deal with this Weaver here. Matches where the Scarab really starts to shine are where there's a lack of silence and a lack of lockdown. Those are the two banes of his existence, and a lot of folks would coin Doom as a decent counter to Weaver. So seeing a Weaver picked into a Doom, a Skywrath, and a Vengeful Spirit, already 3 tools to make his life more difficult.
Yeah, we're going to see Sarah Invoker picked up. Yeah, that's going to be rather promising on the mid lane sense. It isn't really a hard counter to Weaver, but it's just one that they feel really good about, putting Ysera Invoker versus the Viper. They think that he can win that matchup and pull ahead. It's also extra damage to put on top of that disable combo I was talking about. You can Cussive into Magic Missile. The Sunstrike will be there too, and that is just going to be people dropping from nearly 100% HP to 0 right therein. So I don't feel great about the Weaver pick either, but they got to go with something. Everybody's going to get disabled in some capacity, and if Weaver positions it well, maybe he can at least avoid the Ancient Seal, and then the Doom will have to kind of look for somebody else.
Yeah, and I guess the other case to be made is there are other likely Doom targets. Tide and Viper both, and even Shadow Shaman, if you can catch him with a Doom before the wards come down, there are other important targets here, but he's maybe not the worst. So perhaps that's what they're thinking of here with Weaver against a Doom. If you go for a multi-core lineup, he can only Doom so many targets. So maybe that's part of what the strategy they're going for. Mineski will 5th ban the Void, and II will opt to 5th ban the Timber Saw. An interesting final ban. We haven't seen a lot of Timbersaw play pretty much exclusively against those like 3 strength core lineups. I don't know if that is a respect ban coming out here. Do Mineski have a history of running quite a bit of Timbersaw?
I don't. I mean, it kind of suits their playstyle. They definitely have had in the past kind of a YOLO playstyle, just go in, go very aggressive, and go very active. But otherwise, it seems to be similar along the line of the Wraith King and the Death Prophet ban. It's not ideal. It's just something that they feel that the enemy might pick up that they're worried about. But in this case here, we obviously see they were going for a completely different role. They were going for the Earthshaker support. They're going to have Weaver, Tide, and Viper as their cores, and the Timbersaw seems a little off the mark in that regard.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. But alas, Mineski will settle on Earthshaker for their second support and final pick. So some more Wombo for their combo. Pretty big ultimates here. A lot of burst damage they can put out. So overall, pretty solid draft. We'll see what Insidious choose for their final pick. Only about 15 seconds of reserve time remaining here.
Yep, so carry Doom or offlane Doom, the Void has the same flexibility, but that was banned out, so we're going to see Slark come out instead, and I really do like that pick. He's able to deal with a lot of the disables, like a quick Hex from Rasta, by going ahead and using the Dark Pact and getting that Dispel rolling, and he is a hero that can mid to late game go toe-to-toe with a hero like Weaver. He gets that Agi stack, he continues to just, as the fight progresses, do more and more and have a greater impact, and just going for a basic build-up into maybe a BKB towards the mid-game, then he'll be in a pretty fighting position that they should be able to rout the opposition with.
Yes, indeed. And also a carry that can come online a little bit earlier and skirmish a little bit. That's one of the great things about Slark is even if he goes to Hand of Midas, he can still put out a lot of damage in that like level 6 to level 11 range without a huge amount of items, which is just really great for the kind of aggressive nature of the Dyer's lineup, I think.
Yeah, so the one thing I feel that they're kind of lacking is counter push. Right now it depends on the Invoker, how he uses his spell set, but the other heroes are almost purely single target. The Skywrath Mage, like his concussive shot AoEs if the creeps happen to be near the hero that it hits, and the Wave of Terror is a very minor nuke in an AoE sense. Otherwise, they're pretty penned in, and the creep waves are going to be knocking on their doors pretty effectively, so they'll have to play it cautiously, and they do want some momentum in this laning phase.
Yep, that's definitely true. Mineski don't have a huge amount of pushing power either. I mean, obviously they have Rost awards, but that's about it. I don't see much else here. No summons or anything like that. So of all the games to not have a huge amount of counter push, I think InsideousIdol might be able to get away with it here.
Wow, look at Jesse Vash's positioning, though. This is so insane here in the mid lane. Like, going into this spot, the Radiant Observer ward is out, so he knows that somebody's going to come in, but even then he doesn't have a way to, like, TP and respond away. Like, he's just messing about. This is unnecessary risk. There's absolutely nothing positive that could come of this, but he's just showing them that that's what he can do. And in the meantime, down on bottom, we do have a similar aggressive positioning from Shagasaurus on the Doom. He has those boots. He can at least tango through the tree line there, and Joven won't be able to find that opening just yet. But he does pick up the illusion. As far as push potential goes, with Geminate Attack and Basilius, he can still kind of hammer on those towers pretty hard. But it all comes down to finding the Doom, who seems to be comfortable with just blocking this pull spawn.
Yeah, and the difference in Doom versus the Shadow Shaman with their opening position is Doom can always skill Scorched Earth if he gets himself in a sticky situation, get that regen and the movement speed, and with boots first, that's usually enough for him to be successful in his plight to survive. Shadow Shaman, on the other hand, not quite the same story. Notably slow, even with boots first, can still be chased down with just one stun, disable, slow, something like that. Regardless, the early gambling will not yield in any undue results. Shagasaurus will start off in the jungle, and he will pick up a Dark Troll Summoner. Really not an ideal creep to devour out of the gate, just because of the mana pool. 150 mana to use in Snare. Doom might get to use it once if he's lucky, and that's about it. The Raised Dead, I guess, can come in handy if you want to pressure the tower a little bit, but
yeah, he's using it to block the pulse spawn, which is pretty nice. Yeah. So it's kind of that extra little summon.
Yeah, that's cute. But yeah, not ideal. Jesse Vosh spending a lot of time here just hanging out. Ysera, whoa, what? How did he know he was there? They ping it out, but how did he see him?
I don't know, man. This is so awkward, and maybe he thought, okay, well, Chedcham's been off the map. He's level 1. They have no idea where he is, because obviously the Doom's been all around the jungle, so they have to assume he's somewhere, and maybe he's pulled this trick before. So, yeah. It's interesting, but has been thwarted in the end.
Yeah, maybe they just know each other well enough. Sarah and Jesse Vosh, they're names that most folks should recognize that have been around the scene for a while. So that's the only thing that I can think of, because that's a pretty unique little position for the Rasta to be hiding in for that long as well.
Mm-hmm.
But all right, Rasta off to a slow start, halfway through level 1, just has his brown boots for now, roaming about. Did go Shackles level 1, so no either shock and can't really burst anything down. Looks like he may just retreat to the jungle and stack and pull as he does ping out the bottom lane.
Yep, Xiaoshan going to pick up an Invis rune, so might find an opening here on the Doom down bottom. The Scorched Earth is available, but at only rank 1, doesn't provide that much healing. However, right now, the Shadow Shaman seems indecisive whether or not he wants to go and try to put pressure on Ysera, who does have that pointing quas to try to survive, but it seems like that's his overall intention here in the mid.
Yes, indeed. Smoke in the top lane. The Venge and Skywrath roaming duo for the Dire will wrap around here. Venge is level 2, has Magic Missile and Wave of Terror. Zebra still hanging on to that first skill, but I imagine it'll be the Ancient Seal just to buff up the magic damage from the Vengeful Spirit. Here's the wraparound, though. They go straight for the Tide, and it is going to be Arcane Bolt leveled first. And it's probably still enough for a kill. Yeah, Magic Missile. First blood is drawn, and it is the Vengeful Spirit that gets the bonus gold.
Yep. And immediately going to mid lane here. They're going to try to turn things around here a bit of a dive. The Ghost Walk comes out as Ysera goes for a multi-orb build. 1-1-1 Quaswex Exhort, and he is showing us flexibility here in the mid lane as he turns invisible when they don't have detection.
Now, well, are you seeing initiation on the Tide up top? Nope. The Venge just going to the side shop, wants to pick up those booties. Will take an Anchor Smash, but walks back to safety. Talk to us about the advantages and disadvantages of the 1-1-1 kind of opener here for Invoker. I can't remember the last time I saw this. It's so rare to see an Invoker not commit to one or the other in the opening. What do we got going on here, Blaze?
On that point, the biggest thing I would have to say is you get versatility, but you lose potency. You get 10 spells instead of just like 3 or 4 that you play around with, and that's really cool. That does give you a nice little advantage there, but I don't know. It's just when you have only one single point in Quas, it's not going to be doing any damage via Cold Snap. When you only have 1 point in Exhort, then you're not getting the base damage you really need to contest CS. So there's obviously pros to it in that you get versatility, but if he's just going to be running 2 spells anyways, the only thing it gives him is the Ghost Walk Escape, which they're going to start bringing detection anyways to kind of counteract that.
Yeah, that is pretty easy to counter, and maybe you can make a case that it was worth it already as he survived and has still had time to absorb experience, but his farm is pretty lackluster. 6-4 in terms of CS right now. The Viper is up to 24-12. It's complete decimation here in the mid lane as Viper pulls way into the lead. And looking at the this Weaver, he's farming pretty well. The last hit leader, 28-5 compared to the position 1 Slark of InsideousIdol, only 20-13. So a 50% lead for the Weaver, and they've both been in pretty much free farm heaven. I guess the Tide has been contesting a bit. He's grabbed 8 CS, has 2 points in Anchor Smash, so that is lessening some damage that Slark can put out. But all things considered, Mineski off to a pretty damn good start here in this laning phase.
Yeah, they're going to try to pick off the Shadow Shaman. I don't think they can bring down the Weaver without the Silence. Of course, Sentry Wards are available, but he's still really quick when the Shikuchi comes through. So Shadow Shaman, the best target of choice, but even he is in a very defensive position. So the smoke is very clear-cut, very obvious. The Sentry comes down, but Weaver's not going too aggressively. Can they bring down the Shadow Shaman, though? They need the Magic Missile to connect. They lose vision for a moment. There it is, but he's safely under the tower.
Oh, just too indecisive here. Now Weaver will go back in. He wants this Vengeful Spirit. Another Observer, or pardon me, Sentry comes down, but it just doesn't matter. Doom pops the ultimate onto Weaver. Do they have the damage to bring him down? Looks like that Arcane Bolt will be enough. Sunstrike flies through and doesn't do a hell of a lot, but a deny from Jesse Vosh. Nicely done. It'll be a 1-for-1 trade, but Mineski get the better of it as Weaver secures a kill, then gets denied.
Yeah, very nicely done. That was pretty easy to deny, to be honest, because they weren't anywhere near to get the last hit on it, but that was just really good that they were able to turn around that situation, and it was actually a smart call from Joven to go on the aggression. Even though they did pop down some Sentry Wards, and they'll have to keep in mind those are there for the next 4 minutes, overall that was a huge win for them.
And Weaver will just hop right back into the lane InsideousIdol do have both supports now, keeping the Doom safe and sound. No ultimate available for him for another 60 seconds or so, but they'll just keep pressing forward. They find the Earthshaker, connect with the stun. Plenty of damage to get him low, but there's the Fissure to break it up. Mineski with some pretty low health heroes here, but they secure the kill onto the Skywrath Mage as Weaver just ticks him down. Off to the side now, Vengeful Spirit caught in the shackles. Sunstrike flies through again off the mark, and Vengeful Spirit will take a tumble. This Weaver is getting out of control.
And unfortunately, it doesn't even matter if the Sunstrike's hit in those cases because it's so low in rank in Exhort. He only has 160 pure damage to dispense, which wouldn't have net a kill in either case. We do see Tidehunter here taking a pounce up top. That is a lot of damage flying in. The Cursive will connect, but can they get the second pounce, or are they going to even try for it? He's not going to commit his ultimate. He's not going to go under tower because he just doesn't find it to be worth the risk. He can go ahead, just heal back up to full, and then he can force him out of lane 100%.
Yeah, looking at the graph here, Mineski with about a 1,500 gold lead, 500 experience, still no towers have fallen, and they're only one hero kill up, so a lot of that lead is just coming from raw CS difference. The mid lane is still disastrous, dare I say, for our Dire team. Invoker 19-7 versus the 44-19 Viper. Viper has as many denies as Invoker has last hits, and that's a metric that you can always use to tell when a mid lane is pretty lopsided.
Oh, most definitely. That's just the lack of Exhort and the pressure put out by the Shadow Shaman, 100%. Now we're going to see a 4-man Dota play come out from InsideousIdol here, and I'm wondering how you feel about this one, to be honest, because like they don't have the Basilius behind it. They just have 4 heroes here they can fight, but the Ravage is here, and Weaver gets plenty of time to freely farm away. Not a care in the world.
Yeah, I mean, they may be able to grab this tower, but Mineski are ready to defend. As you mentioned, Ravage online, that is the big disparity here that I think InsideousIdol may be well advised to think twice about how much they commit to this. They do have Doom with the raised dead, so that's helping in terms of tanking the tower shots. They get it down to about half health, and now the initiation will commence. Fissure comes out onto the Doom, and they will bide their time. There's a wraparound from Jesse Vosh, Invisibility Rune online, and they will try to make a hold. The Shadow Shaman is only level 4, so no Mass Serpent Wards quite yet, but even just his disable could be enough to set up a big Ravage. Fissure will isolate the Doom.
Wow.
Nowhere for him to go. He takes... Oh, no. He'll take a Gush, and now Jesse Vosh looking for the opening. Even Weaver comes in. He wants some of this hero gold, and the Doom pops his ultimate on the Tide. That stops the Ravage, but they're on the back foot. Slark forced to use his ultimate defensively. Still gets hit by the Fissure. Skywrath taking heavy right clicks from the Weaver. He'll go down. It's a 2-0, and now this Venge, nowhere to run. Only level 3, hit by the Gush. Easy kill for the Weaver, and now Slark, he can't even hop back in. He has no ultimate, so he's forced just to pull creeps and go back to farming and ultimately let this tower fall. As you were kind of predicting there, Blaze, the failed push, and now it'll be a counter push as Mineski will probably get a tower out of this.
Yeah, the Fissure was incredible from Playhard, getting the Doom locked in there 100%. He couldn't get away, and they didn't even have to commit Ravage for that fight. They're able to get the tower kill, they're able to get multiple hero kills, the mechanism's up, and that just kind of feels like it was the thing that tipped this game 100% in favor of Mineski. I mean, InsideousIdol, they wanted momentum out of the gate because their overall like AoE team fight sense isn't strong, especially by comparison. So now that they're falling behind, I'm really not sure where they're going to pick this back up.
Yep, and they gave Invoker some time to farm, and normally I'd say, oh, that's a little scary, but he just chipped at this tower, barely did any damage to it. He still doesn't have a Midas if that's what he's pooling for. He is now committing to the Exhort build, 2-1-4 at level 8 right now in terms of his Quaswex Exhort, and 1,500 gold up. I think he's going to go for the Midas, and I think it's the right idea. They need some sort of a recovery farming tool, but will it be enough is a whole nother beast altogether.
Yeah, well, against Ravage and Mechanism, right now Mineski can take any fight on the map that they so choose, and that'll give Weaver space to essentially farm by himself while they 4-man, and they're still going to be able to take towers on the back of that. Now, there is some potential to turn it around, but feels very scarce with Chu not having really any real right-click damage behind him. The Midas build-up from Shagasaurus as well as potentially Ysera, it just means that they're going to be finding themselves in a perfect position in the mid to late game, but in a desperate position right here and now.
Yeah, and now that tower push that they committed to up top makes me scratch my head even more. With a double Midas, you mentioned the lack of Basilius. Seems like an even odder time to try and push a tower. In the top lane, Tide will get isolated. Not enough mana for the Ravage. Possibly could have turned it around and maybe grabbed a kill on the Vengeful Spirit, but that time the Sunstrike was on the money, and I will get another hero kill up on the scoreboard. It's only an off-lane Tide, though. End of the day, not the hugest of deals. The Weaver, really the one they need to secure some kills on. He has 5-1-1, picks up his ultimate orb now, well on his way to a great timing on this Linken's.
Yeah, looking for another initiation down on bottom. Doom does not have any armor to deal with right now. He has one base armor, and the Swarm chips away at it very quickly. So a little bit of long-range harassment, and even with the Scorched Earth, he's still hurting.
Yeah, and that's where that early Basilius really comes in handy, and he's been holding on to this Dark Troll Summoner inside of him, which is just okay. I mean, if you have the Ice Ogre as we go back to, or even if you want to push, getting a Wild Wing Ripper is great. You get that Armor Aura, helps you tank up, really buffs up that EHP, and that Satyr Tormentor for a little extra regen also comes in handy. Right now, he just simply doesn't have the mana pool to sustain this. Doom and Ensnare is pretty much his entire mana pool. He'll get one Devour or a Scorched Earth after that, and he is dry as a bone. He will be going for Phase Boots, it looks like, so not the support mana or a base Doom we've come to love and enjoy. It appears Shagasaurus will be going a little more into the right click, kind of carry Doom style, if you will.
Tower has been denied.
Unfortunately, May's going to be able to get the deny on top, so InsideousIdol are at a loss there. They committed a lot of time and energy to try to bring down that tower, and Chu can't even finish the job, unfortunately. He does pick up a very aggressive item here, the Blink Dagger, and we could see some pretty cool pickoffs coming out, maybe against the Shadow Shaman with that available, but even still, it's just a hard sell for them to be able to pull themselves back into it, kind of by their bootstraps here. They really need something to happen and an error to be made by Mineski.
Yep, they tied cannons to old bootstraps. I think Mineski need to step up the aggression a little bit here, though. They're giving InsideousIdol the time they need for these Midases to start to kick in a little bit. The window hasn't been too long, but they have Mech, they have Ravage online. At 13 minutes, those are pretty much the only tools you need to take a successful team fight. Rostal Wards come down in the mid lane, so it looks like they will turn up some of this aggression. And Doom down bottom, yeah, he gets initiated on. Time-lapse will come out from the Weaver. They'll try and chase him down, and he will survive at least for now. Meanwhile, in the mid, Slark hops forward. Pounce connects onto Jesse Vosh. The tower does fall. Jacko on the Viper does secure the last hit. Viper Strike now out on the Skywrath Mage. An easy kill for Mineski, and they are rewarded for their aggression. One tower, one hero down as they rotate towards the bottom lane.
Yeah, are they going to go? I guess they'll go with the bottom tier 1 and try to keep the surprise active, but I don't know. If they can find the Doom, this would be huge, and the Face Boots isn't going to be enough for him to get out of this. They actually are going to find a pick, but it's going to be on Neltharion first.
Yeah, two fights breaking out here as the Fissure comes out, but there's your Ravage. Connects on two around the backside. The two supports fall. Shagasaurus goes down shortly after. A 3-0 as Mineski steamroll their way to victory in the bottom lane, furthering that gold graph by a pretty big chunk. They will grab another tier 1 tower kill, and maybe even a tier 2. They can continue pushing forward, and Doom has an ultimate, so when he responds, maybe they can start to make a hold, but no, with that, Mineski will just back out and TP to the other lanes, make sure their towers stay safe and sound.
This is pretty much make or break time for InsideousIdol. They need something huge, and they're not finding it. The Skywrath Mage he's level 4. Like, I was going to complain about the fact like he was maybe like 5.5 and didn't have his ulti. Clicking on him, he's only level 4. What can a Sky do at this stage in the game that really makes any bit of difference? We do see the Invoker got his Midas, and Ysera's back up to 1500. Looks like he's going to try to go for a courier pickoff, but that's no such luck. For now, the Lincoln Sphere recipe hiding on the courier, and they are going to try to hunt it down. Wave of Terror will scout out the wrong direction, and it looks like Little Piggy will keep flying for a little bit longer.
Or will he? Ooh, Neltharion almost bumps into it, but there you go. Piggy survives and grabs the Void Stone. Now that will be a Lincoln Sphere. 15 minutes in for good old Weaver, and oh man, it just keeps getting worse. Viper, level 11, the first one to grab the level 2 ultimate here. Shadow Shaman taking some damage in the top lane. He does get a ward trap off. Caught the tail end of it. Slark pounces out, and we'll find a solo kill on one of the Radiant supports. So that helps boost him up a little bit. With this Blink Dagger, he really needs to try to find some kills. Of course, the Blink does very little in his Rising efforts, but makes it so you should never really miss a pounce unless something really cheeky happens. So steps in the right direction, but Slark still has a pretty long way to go before he matches the farm of the Viper or the Weaver.
Yeah, and I think the Blink Dagger that's now been picked up on Tidehunter has so much more relevance. We will see another potential pickoff here. The Earthshaker going slow, the Orb of Venom taking its toll, but right back into the Serpent Wards. No! Chu's gonna go down! Not even close to worth it there. And the Hex, the Shackles. Oh, if the wards hadn't just expired, it'd be a guaranteed kill, but here comes the Viper. The Viper Strike is in, and no TP scroll is available. He is a dead man walking as well.
Yep, he's all in here. He'll try and move around the trees, but now Ty joins the party, an Anchor Smash, and they find vengeance for their fallen comrade. Great setup from the Earthshaker, though. He read them like a book, brought them into the wards. The Echo Slam was just enough damage, and they got the turnaround kill on Slark. Even when it seems like Mineski are starting to slip a little bit and giving away some kills, they're right there with the response and clean it up and grab much-needed kills on 2 of the cores of InsideousIdol. Now the third core, Ysera, the last one remaining. He'll try and TP out. Do they have any kind of interrupt? Yes, they do. Jesse Vosh gets there just in the nick of time with the Hex, and that will secure the kill on Invoker. Wow. Great positioning from the Shadow Shaman, keeping us on the edge of our seat, but does secure the kill, and now they will rotate up top. Roster wards up in 10 seconds. This should be a dead Tier 2 tower.
Yeah, they can push into this with really no concern. Doom here is just trying to get to the jungle to Midas. Oh, they do actually get a pick off there. The Shadow Shaman gets singled out, and that was pretty much blind. If you look at the dire vision, they didn't see that coming until they ran right into him, but they responded very well.
Yeah, that was just unlucky for the Shadow Shaman. He has a set of observer wards. He wanted to fix that vision issue, maybe get one up on the high ground, and took a slightly different path. It did cost him, but there is something to be said for that vision intel. Now Slark won't be able to just hop right on the team, and Mineski are aware of the general positioning of InsideousIdol. They will back up appropriately, and well, maybe that death stopped them from taking the team fight that could have regained some momentum from the dire side. With that, yeah. Mineski will stick around a bit longer, though. Tide hiding in the trees. Of course, Ravage at the ready. And they are going to try to set the trap and hope for some initiation. Jesse Vosh is already respawned on his way back towards the top lane. Doom comes out on the Viper, but Slark misses the pounce. And now Mineski will just try to disengage. Jacko will survive for now. There's your Ravage. It connects on 3. The supports will melt. Slark stuck in the trees. Will have to pounce over. Misses once again. It's a 2-for-0 to get things started. A buyback from the Skywrath to get back in the fight, but he's now level 6. It does have the Mystic Flare. They'll connect with the kill onto the Tidehunter. But now Jesse Vosh back in the party. Fissure on 2. They'll go back in without a Doom ultimate. They're not so scared. Viper Strike comes out. Stegosaurus will just try to TP out. They don't have the interrupt, but he's still out of the fight. Ysera isolated in the wards as well as a Shackle. They'll bring him down. The Basin tremble as now the Tier 2 tower will fall and Mineski find a successful team fight once further. A dieback for the Skywrath Mage. He was broke before, but now they have officially broken the bank. He's got nothing. And Earthshaker, well, he finds his way into a Blink Dagger here, just shy of the 20-minute mark.
Yeah, and there's going to be times where like the lack of Tier 2 tower means they can't even enter their own jungle. They can't use their Midas or their Devour on cooldown because they are constantly afraid of the enemy just poaching them left and right. And right now we see the Observer Vision is advantageous for Mineski, and as well as that lack of TP support. Chu will get a few wards out of it, farming them up on the top lane there, but it's going to take so much more to put them back in this game. I mean, Scotty on Slark would be great, but he's so far off of it that it doesn't seem like it's going to be in the cards for quite some time.
Yeah, and so far the double Midas from InsideousIdol is working out exactly as we talked about. They're just not in fighting form. They have no mech, and they just don't have a huge amount of teamfight potential. It's not a surprise that Mineski are kind of running over them in these engagements, and now that the Earthshaker has a Blink Dagger, we'll see him be so much more potent in these upcoming skirmishes. Those big Echo Slams are now a serious threat. Desolator will be a reality for the Weaver before too long here as well. First, Mithril Hammer is up and 300 gold in savings. So might not have it for this next team fight, but if they knock down another tower or two, only 2 outer towers remaining, that'll be a very well-timed Desolator. And once that comes out, InsideousIdol just have no response for it. They're a pretty low armor team across the board. Slark and Venge will scale a little bit with that Agi gain, but all things considered, Desolator will be crippling. Viper Strike out on the Stegosaurus. A Fissure to follow up. A lot of damage. Even if they don't bring him down here, he's completely zoned out. And this will secure a tower kill from Mineski. At least forces out the Glyph. They'll hang around a little bit longer. We'll need to wait for another creep wave. And they will get repelled for now, but they'll stick around.
Radiant's middle tower.
Big
Trap has been set. Ravage and Fissure are ready. And look at this. The Blink Brothers just hiding in the trees. Oh, man.
Yeah, there's no way
will
to
Insidious Illusion fall for it, though? Pardon?
Yeah. There's no way to defend this tower at this point in time. They try to deny it with the Forge Spirits, but it's already gone. Just a beautiful positioning from Mineski, guaranteeing every single step of the way. They're taking no risks in this, but they're still triumphing left and right. The Viper got his Aghanim Scepter, so he's just
Weaver has
spamming
Desolator now. The recipe's on the Courier, and he had the second Ritual on the Courier when we were talking about it.
That's
so
insane.
it's not a matter of if, it is a matter of now. Joven he's a beast.
And they also got the deny on the mid tower, so just knowing that they were going to go for a little bit of a pick-off on the low HP one, that's not going to happen either. They are just shutting them down left and right, showing them who's boss, and marching right down the mid lane where they can win pretty much any fight. I think even if like Doom gets a 3-man War Stomp and the perfect Doom target and all these different things, it's still going to just blow up in their face as these ultimates are just too powerful.
Yeah, Slark is not in the fray right now. He does have a TP scroll trying to pressure that bottom lane, and InsideousIdol will opt just to sacrifice that tier 2 tower mid. Slark doing some decent damage here. The glyph has already been popped, but they will be able to make it back in time to defend. Earthshaker's on his way in. There's a lot of creeps here. He could start this off with an ultimate if he wants to hop in, and there it is. Echo Slam to get things started.
Wow.
Fissure, and they will secure the kill on the Slark, and another tower deny. They'll finish off the siege creep, 30 hit points left. And that will be 3 towers down on the side of Mineski and 3 towers denied.
While taking
or
Roche.
will it? Okay, they're not going to deny it. Yeah, meanwhile in the Roche pit, wow, it's just victories all over the map for Mineski. That Desolator paired with the Mass Serpent wards, devastating as Roche falls. A buyback from the Slark, but they just can't get there fast enough, and it will be essentially a wasted buyback.
Yeah, Slark isn't going to find Scotty this game. This is just setbacks left and right. The Aghanim Scepter comes out on the Shadow Shaman just to put a little lemon juice in the wound. Like, that's not even necessary for them to break the base open, but now they're going to find this opportunity perhaps onto Slark. They saw that the smoke expired. He's pinging it out. He wants it, but it's bait the whole time.
Yeah, there's now an Ag Scepter up on Jesse Vosh. Sunstrike flies through, barely connects. In the mid lane, Doom falls. We're watching this fight here. Blink over the tree line. The Hex from Jesse Vosh, but still gets taken out by the Dark Pact, and well, looks like Earthshaker will fall as well. Double kill for the Slark, but what about this mid lane? Doom is fallen, they don't have a glyph, and this Desolator Weaver is trucking your tier 3 tower. Sure, you grab kills on the supports, but as they say, Blaze, at what cost?
Most definitely. We're going to see them push in here, but without really the full arsenal to rally. I mean, the big ultimates not really available other than the Ravage. I actually think that this is a position that II can hold. It is going to be a 3 versus 5 with the Doom coming back up. Chu having the flank and coming off a high of 2 really good kills. This actually is defensible.
It certainly is, but even half damage to a tier 3 tower at this stage is something. Slark initiates now, hops right onto the Viper. Viper Strike comes out, and not the mech. Doom flies onto the Viper, secures the kill. Ravage for the follow-up. Now can they clean it up? Vengeful Spirit and Skywrath go down, and Weaver will just start to go ham on this team. Remember, he has an Aegis, has used the time-lapse now, but Mineski, they find a decent trade there. Viper for the 2 supports and the Doom ultimate. They still have the Aegis in tow. Weaver now level 16. Their supports have respawned. They're on their way to the party, and Jesse Vosh is here with Ag Scepter level 1 Mass Serpent wards, ready to do some damage to this tier 3. Weaver taking a lot of damage. That'll proc the Aegis as the Slark pops forward. Mineski will continue to commit to this, though. Weaver will get force stabbed back. Nice teamwork there as Jesse Vosh comes forward, throws down the wards, and it will cost him his life, but they are in range of the tower. He trades it for a kill on Shagasaurus. Weaver does fall to the Invoker. Was that a stray Sunstrike?
I believe the Forge Spirits were still in play, but he's just been able to stay in the fight for a very long time, kind of going in and out of it and finding that last pick off, the last bit of fatal damage on the Weaver. And
1,300 gold. That's huge for the Invoker. Yeah. Much needed recovery. So now a level 3 Necro book and 2,100 gold.
I found it. Okay, he actually had 570 HP, and he last hit the Necronomicon Warrior. He killed off the Invoker's Necro book.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. I had eyes on the Weaver. I was like, all right, he's at a lot of hit points, and then I just saw the text. He's dead. I'm like, must have been a Sunstrike. I don't know. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
I was kind of bullshitting with the Forge Spirits, but no, looking up combat logs are a beautiful thing, and man, I did not expect him to actually make the mistake of last hitting that Necro.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. So Minor misstep for Mineski, but they still got the Tier 3 tower. It wasn't a total waste. They're holding on to their 14,000 gold lead, still in a 5,000 experience lead, and Doom will get initiated upon once again. Viper Strike comes out. He does get swapped, and whoa, the Shackles come out on the Vengeful Spirit instead. Not the target they were thinking of, but they still make it a 1-for-0 exchange. Mid lane, Tidehunter. Him and Weaver against the world. Can they finish off the Invoker before he TP's out? They sure can. The Desolator is just too much. Slark trying to finish off the Tide, but the Watermelon is too tanky. There is a Dark Pact here, and that will ensure the survival of the Slark. But again, Mineski just finding the better of the trades around the map, and now with 2 heroes down, InsideousIdol's mid lane of Rax will be exposed. Buyback scenarios here. Doom and Slark have theirs on cooldown. Invoker will use his preemptively, and the Vengeful Spirit will respond. So it is a 5v5 engagement here, but if Insidious Illusion get cleaned up, it will prove rough for their base.
Look at these
all the
wards,
big ults
though.
are up.
Level 11 Aghanim's wards dropping down. The racks just are obliterated. This is a demolition squad right here. And there's nothing for II to stop it. Like, they'd love to, but as soon as those wards dropped down, the mid lane was gone.
Yep. Slark is in the top lane. He will finish off this Tier 2 tower that wasn't denied unless TPN, maybe. Can the Weaver deny it? No, he doesn't want it. He just wants to go straight for the Slark. Slark taking a lot of damage. Doesn't have Shadow Dance for another 7 seconds. Hops into the trees. The Fissure barely falls short. Oh, what a heartbreaking play. Almost interrupted, but he will survive. Regardless, Mineski still find the mid lane of Rax, and why don't they just deny this tower? 15 hit points now.
It's keep and go from the enemy. I don't know. Like, in this position, if they don't feel it's going to be last hit within the next couple of minutes, then there's no reason to deny it. They pretty much feel like they can respond to the push and wait, but as it doesn't, the backdoor protection doesn't really impact a 15 HP tower. It could be sniped quite easily just from like a Forge Spirit or something. So we'll have to keep our eye on it. But for now, they feel it's safe enough to leave on the field.
Yeah, I really thought Slark was just going to run up and last hit it and then TP out. I thought his whole pressure here was for the tower, but he seemed pretty happy just last hitting the creeps until the TP came in. So both sides interacting with this tower in a different fashion than I think we would have expected. But regardless, they forced the buyback out on Invoker as well. And even though he bought back, they still couldn't hold the racks. I think the gold is not really the detriment nearly as much as just it being stuck on cooldown. That's 3 buybacks on cooldown. Slarks is coming back momentarily here as II smoke up and look for a wraparound as Mineski invade their jungle.
It's a tough one, but Meteor Deafening Blast is an extremely powerful combo, and maybe they just will have the burst damage to at least solo out the Weaver. But with the Heart of Tarask, even on Agi Treads, we're looking at 2,400 HP, and that is still a very large chunk to deal with. I think you have to Ancient Seal, you have to break the Linkage, then Ancient Seal, and Meteor Deafening Blast just to have a chance to bring him down. He's just so strong.
Yeah, very tanky indeed. And he has that nice happy medium now of survivability and damage. The Desolator, a pretty core item on Weaver in general because of the interaction with Geminate attack and the minus armor from the Swarm, but in this game in particular with all of these low armor heroes and the lack of Basilius and all those other armor items. We will see initiation here. Wards come down. There's the Ravage. The Boink brothers started off as they get kills on Doom and Skywrath Mage. Venge gets locked down shortly after, and now it's just the Slark and the Invoker. Can they make this defense? It's looking slim to none. Invoker falls. Slark, the only one left alive. Tier 3 tower is already fallen. Top lane of Rax will fall shortly after, and I have to guess we're moments from a GG here. There it is. Not much InsideousIdol can do as Mineski take a pretty dominant victory. 28-12.
Yeah. We'll say I was surprised that Chu was even able to farm with the Eye of Scotty, but didn't even really get to make much use of it in that last fight. So, all in all, a dominating performance from Mineski. They really started things off the right way, but I would have to say it was with the top lane push that came out from InsideousIdol that just didn't seem warranted against the Ravage of the Tide, and that amazing Fissure from Earthshaker to start the fight off the right way. They get pick off, tower, mech, and the game. Like, it snowballs from there, and they played a really marvelous one. But I do appreciate the validity of this stand-in. Playhard just came to really win this one, and that everything that he did, every movement, every Echo Slam, it just seemed very well thought through. So props to him. I guess I'll give the stand-in my MVP in that, but obviously it was a team effort here as Mineski just take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mineski were the favorites coming in, so not too shocking for our final game of the day, but still an action-packed match, to say the least. A little bit different from the first 2 games we saw today, the slow Farm Fest, and then we moved to, I got to get rid of my overlays here. There we go. And then the last game was that kind of more more style we're used to in the SEA region, of a lot of kills back and forth and very action-packed game in only 30 minutes. Alas, that brings us to the end of our coverage today, guys. This is day 2 of Starladder Season 10, the SEA portion. We'll be back tomorrow with day 3. The first 4 days are every day in a row, and then we get a little break before the real madness of Starladder sets in and the other regions start to pick up. I'm Zayori, solo in the studio for now. LD still on vacation. He'll be returning in about a week and a half's time, and Parker still feeling under the weather. Of course, follow me on Twitter at ZayoriTV if you enjoyed the casting, and give my remote caster some love at Blaze Casting on Twitter as well. Both of those are in the title of this broadcast, and at Beyond the Summit to stay up to date with all things BTS. We're done for today, though. We'll see y'all tomorrow, same place, same time, for more Starladder SEA coverage.